Okay, I'm going to show you how to do the mattress stitch, which is a way that we will sew up so that we will have an almost invisible seam. It's not going to be completely invisible since we are stuffing our toy, and it'll make the seams come out a little bit since we're puckering them. But we just keep the seam to the bottom or the side, and you're not going to notice them, especially if we add our clothes to them. So here you can see with his chin, you can barely notice it. I did the side so it's kind of hidden by his arm. Okay, and then we'll do up the backs. So this is how we're going to do the mattress stitch. So the first thing that we need is we need our finished piece, and we need a tapestry needle. So I'm going to use one that has a little bit of a bent hook. And the first thing that I'm going to do, this is the body piece. So I'm going to thread my needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to join. So if we look, I'm going to pull the fabric apart so you can kind of see. So you see the ladders that are between the stitches? So we're going to pick an edge, and we want to try and stay close to the edge and pick the same row. So in between these V's, if you insert your tapestry needle, you'll see that there's these little bars. These bars are the ones that we're going into. So we want to time this so that our piece lines up. If you have a pin, you can pin it together. I kind of roll them so that they're rolled flat. And then I'm going to start, we're going to go from one side directly across to the other side. So I'm going to go in here in my first loop between my V's, and I'm going to pull the yarn through. You don't have to pull it super tight at this point. It will be able to tighten up after. So then I'm going to go down one. So I came over and I'm going to go down one. And now I'm going to go across. And again, I'm trying to pick a row. And I'm going to go down this row. So I go between and I pull up that little loop between. And now I'm going to go down one. So I'm still in that same one. I find the middle loop. And now I go over. So it's over, down one, over, down one. So we're kind of making like a ladder. And it's important that you want to stay within the same line as much as you can. So I kind of just hold my piece and I try not to move my fingers. So where I'm going is where I'm going. Okay. So we come across here. And then we go down one. And if you kind of just stick your needle in, you'll kind of catch these guys. And then we come across. And then we go down one. And then back across. And down one. So it is a little tedious. It does take a bit of time. But what's nice is that it's going to, your seam is going to pretty much disappear. It's going to roll to the inside of your work. And you're not going to see it. Sometimes it's hard to get that little strand between. Okay, so now I'm going to stop here for a second, and if I pull this tight, you should see that my seam kind of disappears. You see how you can't even see it over here? That's what we want. So you're going to continue doing that, looking for these little ladders in between the V's. Go in, then across to start. So go one side right across, then come down, go over, down, over, down, over. So we're doing a ladder. And then once you get all the way to the end, if we pull this tight, we don't want to pull it so tight that we break the yarn, but you'll see how the seam just kind of disappears. And that's what we want. Now, by pulling it, you will notice the seam a little bit, and that's going to happen when we stuff our piece. But this makes the most invisible seam that we can do. So for all of these, you're going to do that. When we do our heads, let me grab a head piece. What we're actually going to do is we're going to work to the middle. So we're going to thread our needle. We've already thread our needle through these stitches. So with the top part, we're going to work down until about midway, a little bit less than midway. And then the bottom, I'll show you what we're going to do here. We put our needle in. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go across and we're just going to loop through these to close this gap. So we loop through one and then we're going to go through all the little loops that are here. And that'll help us cinch this close so that when we pull it, I'll do that gap is now tight. Okay, so again, we're going to push these together. Okay, make sure all your edges line up. If you have pins, you can definitely pin it about the halfway point. But I'm just making sure my edges line up. And then we're going to start on the opposite side of where it's joined. And I'm just going to pick a row. So I'm going to go in between my stitch here. And then I'm going to go across to this guy. And then I go down one. And then I come back across. Go down. And then across to here. And you just keep doing that until you get to about the halfway point. Stop and then work this way. Okay, because the shape will, the head will get the best shape if we stuff from the middle. Okay, and that is how you do your mattress stitch.